Okay, so we've looked at random samples. What about non-random? The design of a statistical study is biased if it systematically favors certain outcomes. When samples are selected without any regard to random selection, a biased sample may result. A biased sample causes problems because any statistic computed with that has potential to be consistently erroneous. Two commonly used sampling methods that result in biased samples are convenience and volunteer samples. In a convenience sample, you're just picking the easiest ones. So you're picking the ones that are closest or easiest to sample. The results of convenience sampling is susceptible to selection bias and can be highly biased. So you just take whoever's closest. Mall interviews are an example of convenience sampling. Manufacturers and advertising agencies often use interviews at shopping malls to gather information about habits of consumers and the effectiveness of ads. A sample of small shoppers is fast and cheap, but people contacted at shopping malls are not representative of the entire United States. They are richer, for example, and more likely to be teenagers or retired. Moreover, the interviewers tend to select neat, safe-looking individuals from the stream of customers. For another example, for more than 30 years of crash test dummy testing, car manufacturers used one standard dummy, which was meant to represent the average male body. As a result, women and children were often killed and injured in car crashes, were more often killed in car crashes across the board. Unfortunately, it wasn't until 2011 that any car manufacturer began to use smaller crash dummy meant to represent the female body. It was only then the manufacturers learned the real effects of car crashes on women drivers and passengers. And what did they discover? The female dummies were injured at a surprising rate. Okay. A volunteer sample consists of results collected from those elements of the population that chose to contribute, that need information on their own initiative. The results of volunteer sampling is susceptible to non-response bias since they only include people who choose to volunteer. Now I should mention that all these sampling methods, there's an element of volunteering in all of them. Whatever the method you use, you really can't force someone to respond if they don't want to. However, volunteer sample has no randomness to it. It's only relying on volunteering. So again, most studies have an element of volunteering. Volunteer samples rely solely on volunteers and have no other mechanism for sample selection. Advice columnist Ann Landers once asked her divorced readers whether they regretted their decision to divorce. She received approximately 30,000 responses, about 23,000 of which came from women. Nearly 75% said they were glad they were divorced, and most of them said they wished they had done it sooner. Okay, so why is the sample certainly biased? And what is the direction of bias? So that is 75%. Is 75% probably higher or lower than the truth about the population of all adults who have been divorced? Well, I would think 75% is probably an overestimation. This is a volunteer sample, and those who volunteered likely had strong opinions about their divorce.